This time we get to see the rest of the Demon Hunter cards, including one that feels like it breaks the game. Demon Hunters are OP. Let's make sure we understand the impending doom.
This should be interesting.
For Ashes of Outland, Blizzard revealed all the cards remarkably quickly. Now we know what all the cards are, so we'll look for synergies within the set when reviewing cards from this point on. Since all the cards have been revealed, we'll go ahead and start mixing things up a bit, starting with this review. To look for synergies within each class more effectively, we'll look at cards we haven't covered yet from 1 or 2 classes per review. However, we'll also sprinkle in some neutral cards in each review so that the last few aren't filled completely with neutral cards, which tend to be a little bit less exciting. This time, we'll be looking at the remaining Demon Hunter cards, including the ones from the Basic and Initiate set that we hadn't covered previously. We'll look at the cards for this time in just a moment, but real quick, let me note that we do card reviews a bit differently here. Rather than the standard 5-star rating for the cards, we ask 3 questions Hearthstone players really want to know. First, would the card fit into one of the current meta decks, Tier 1 through Tier 3 decks per HS Replay's tier list? So, is it meta now? This helps gauge the card's power level a bit. Second, will the card fit into a meta deck once the expansion comes out? Meaning, looking at the cards together, do we think it's powerful enough to create a new meta archetype? So, is it meta later? And third, most importantly, does it inspire or enable crazy, experimental, or meme decks? So, is it meme deck worthy? Each card will get a yes or no to these questions. There's a time code for quick reviews with puns in the description below for those of you without much time. For everyone else, let's get into the main reviews. Alright, first let's look at the 2 cards from the Demon Hunter basic set that hadn't been revealed until recently. First up is Inner Demon, an 8 mana spell to give your hero +8 attack this turn. All those super complicated mixes of buffs I was talking about during the first review to make Warglaves of Azzinoth huge enough to kill just about every enemy minion seem silly now. If you can use this the turn after equipping a weapon, you'll be able to slaughter a board of priest buffed minions and still go face for 11. Or, if you need some healing after turning your face even more purple to so many hits with your face, you could use this with Aldrachi Warblades to deal 10 lifesteal damage with your face. As we've noted in all the other reviews with Demon Hunter cards, and we won't mention again after this during this review, there are no Demon Hunter meta decks in the current meta. Since we can't divide by 0, all these cards will get asterisks for meta now status. So will this see play in the upcoming meta? Inner Demon is a powerful finisher and pairs well with weapons we mentioned a moment ago, but 8 mana for +8 attack is a lot to pay. Aggressive decks will hope to have closed the game by 8 mana, and big demon hunters will want to spend this mana on their minions to summon an overwhelming board to take down their opponent. This pairs well with the charge legendary we'll cover later, but without the option to do much else on the same turn, I'm pretty certain this won't be joining any of the refined meta decks. But this is amazing for our minions smork while we kill everything with our face meme deck. Especially if we pair it with lifesteal or multiple minion hit weapons. We could also build the opposite deck where only Illidan is ever allowed to hit the opponent's face and include 2 of these to help us finish out the game. It's not a bizarre combo or anything, but Inner Demon could help create some pretty peculiar games. The other basic Demon Hunter card looks to have a lot more promise. Well, it can't look itself, but let's give it a chance. Sightless Watcher is a 2 mana 3/2 weapon with a battle cry to look at 3 cards in your deck and choose one of them to put on top. A 3/2 body isn't bad for 2 mana in what will most likely be aggressive Demon Hunter decks, and the opportunity to improve the chances of your next draw being better is a great upside, especially if you're looking for a finisher or board swing card for the next turn. It's a bit disappointing that you don't get the card this turn unless you have separate card draw, but I believe most of us have had games where we've said, okay, if I draw this card next turn, we can win the game, but if it's one of the other remaining cards, we'll lose. This helps in those situations. With this kind of upside, will Sightless Watcher get to join the future meta? It's not a bad play on 2 to help ensure your plays match your mana curve, and in the late game, it can help find your finishers. I think this will get to join the meta. As for memes, we can't do anything broken with his battlecry or stats, but he is a demon, so if we build a demons only demon hunter, this would join that deck. However, with so many demons as options, and without something else peculiar to add, this doesn't really inspire or enable any meme decks. Sightless Watcher has to watch the memes from the sidelines. There were also 3 cards missing from the Demon Hunter Initiate set as well. The first of these is Altruist the Outcast. He's a 3-mana 3/2 legendary with an effect that reads, after you play the leftmost or rightmost card in your hand, deal 1 damage to your enemies. So every card can get an Outcast-like bonus while Altruist is in play. 1 damage to all enemies, including face, for every other card played. With this, if it's in the right spot, is a super powerful effect, especially with so many low cost and mana discount options available to demon hunters. Imagine casting Eyebeam as an Outcast card with this. For just 3 mana total, you'll get this 3/2 minion, deal 4 damage to an enemy minion, heal for 3, and deal 1 damage to all other enemies. He seems good. As a mid to late game board clear tool for aggro decks, and perhaps in a number of other archetypes, Altruist the Outcast will definitely join meta decks. And memes? Faceless Manipulator with this and a ton of low-cost cards, including card draw, will lead to pulsating waves of death for our opponent's board. I'm not sure if I'm happy or sad that Echo cards are rotating out. I would actually consider playing Phantom Militia with this guy just to trigger him twice and improve the chances of keeping him alive. Whatever the case, this guy will support some serious memes. If our last card had been a demon, we would definitely use this next card to summon a copy of him. Soul Split is a 4-mana spell to choose a friendly demon and summon a copy of it. This would be amazing on a hulking Overfiend or Pit Commander in a big demon build, but too expensive to pair with those reliably. Perhaps it could help flood the board even more with Satyr Overseer, or stall the opponent better with Wrath Spike Brute. This would feel pretty good on Imprisoned Antian once it wakes up, but I'm pretty sure the copy will start as dormant again. Actually, that could be an upside. That's actually pretty terrifying as a follow-up, leading to waves of damage again. Due to the synergy with Imprisoned Antian and the ability to summon copies of massive demons, if any stick around on board, I think there's a good chance this will find a home in an upcoming meta deck. While copying Pit Commanders with this may be enough to qualify this as meme deck worthy, we can do some overly complicated shenanigans with this, Ironbeak Owl, and the massive 8-mana 12/12 demon, Supreme Abyssal, that can't attack heroes. We'll play Supreme Abyssal and let our opponent laugh. If they don't just kill it to be safe, the following turn we'll drop Ironbeak Owl on it so it can go face, and summon a silenced copy for follow-up pressure. I doubt anyone will ignore a 12/12 on the board, but we'll try it anyways. So what's the last card from the Demon Hunter Initiate set? It's Nithrandamus, a 9-mana 8/8 dragon with a battle cry that it will summon 2 random 0-cost minions. The cost of the random minions he will summon goes up each time a friendly minion dies. Most likely, these upgrades only occur when minions die while Nithrandamus is in your hand. But with cards like Coordinated Strike and Command the Illidari, he should be able to summon some pretty big minions quite consistently. This is the only Demon Hunter dragon, so it's unlikely to join a deck that cares about that synergy, and doesn't really fit the other archetypes we've been thinking about for Demon Hunter until now. However, this does make me wonder if we could build a really effective Highlander Demon Hunter. Most of the Demon Hunter cards are powerful for their mana cost, and the class has some amazing card draw tools. Paired with Zephyrus and Dragon Queen Alexstrasza, and a few of the other brokenly powerful neutral cards, I think Highlander Demon Hunter could become a meta deck with this as a top-end payoff card. It's a bit of a risk to call it meta later, but with the strength of this effect and Highlander potential, I think it can make it. And thinking about dragons got me thinking about Murloc Tastyfin and Furious Felfin. Together with Skyfin, we're going to make a Murloc Dragon Demon Hunter. Is it a terrible idea? Maybe. But our opponents will never see it coming. The first neutral minion we'll look at today would be a pretty good 1-mana play after dropping Nithrandamus to help one of our minions rush in. We're going to take a quick sidestep to look at 3 neutral minions who apparently make a living augmenting other minions. Goblins seem to like strapping rockets to things, and that's no different for this first Aug Merchant. Rocket Aug Merchant is a 1-mana 2/1 neutral minion with a battlecry to deal 1 damage to a minion and give it rush. Any decks that are dropping big bodies or have been waiting for their dormant minions to wake up and want immediate trading value from them may want to consider including Rocket Aug Merchant. In the current meta, Galakrond Warrior has Cruel Taskmaster as a popular card to deal 1 damage and increase damage on a minion, but I think many would be happy to trade him out for Rocket Aug Merchant to give Bomb Wrangler, Acolyte of Pain, well, not anymore, and Temple Berserker, among others, to attack immediately and get bonus value. This probably would see play in the current meta. As for the upcoming meta, giving minions rush at the cost of 1 health shouldn't be underestimated. If it were just a card by itself, I think a number of decks would run Goblin Lackey, just for the rush. This is essentially that, but with a few different considerations. I believe a meta deck or 2 will find a home for Rocket Aug Merchant. In addition to classic cards like Frothing Berserker, who care about minions taking damage, a number of the new neutral cards gain attack when damaged. Giving them rush on top would make them powerful plays. We can certainly build a fun, self-damaging, or enrage, deck, which most of the Aug Merchants will fit in. But something really fun we can do with this card, specifically, is to drop this on an Infectious Sporling, which we'll cover in more detail later, and duplicate it with Bloodsworn Mercenary to transform enemy minions into Infectious Sporlings and watch the game devolve into madness. This is gonna be fun. Goblins give rush for damage, so what do gnomes give? Guardian Aug Merchant is a 1-mana 2/1 with a battlecry to deal 1 damage to a minion and give it Divine Shield. Too bad Bolvar Fireblood from Knights of the Frozen Throne isn't in standard anymore. Still, the ability to give a specific minion Divine Shield is something only Paladins have had access until now. They have Hand of Protection for 1 mana and Argent Protector as a 2/2 body for 2 mana with this effect. Both of these cards almost never see play at the moment, but this is only 1 mana for the effect with a 2/1 body. Even in aggressive zoo decks, most minions can survive 1 damage, and using this to help gain control of the board early or trading a minion you'd prefer to keep around with this is pretty good. Guardian Aug Merchant on a Kor'kron Elite followed by a Bloodsworn Mercenary would be pretty scary for the opponent, and the ability to protect some high quality taunts like Winged Guardian with this would certainly make it appealing. But when really looking at how the games would play out with this, taking a card slot or 2, I'm not sure it makes the cut for current meta decks. It's almost too passive. However, looking at the upside this has with all the neutral taunts that get better when damaged, and the already powerful Enrage decks Warrior has, I think there's a decent chance this would make the cut. More frightening taunts that can take an extra hit seem good. It may be a bit optimistic to think so, but with Armadillo still in standard, we may finally see the Enraged Taunt Warrior we've all been waiting for. And if that deck doesn't make the cut in the meta, it definitely will in memes. However, there are even more hilariously bizarre directions we can go with this Aug Merchant. Have you ever run a deck with a bunch of Divine Shield minions hoping to get value from Blood Knight? Well, now is the time for that deck to shine. As long as there is a minion anywhere on the board with 2 or more health, and you have 4 mana, you can guarantee Blood Knight will be at least a 6/6. Is it a meta viable combo? Certainly not. But we're going to do some serious damage with Bloody Knights. The last Aug Merchant is an Ethereal. Ethereal Aug Merchant is also a 1-mana 2/1, but this time he gives a minion spell damage +1 after dealing 1 damage to it. Spell damage by itself seems to be difficult to work well in Standard. At the moment, the only spell damage cards that see almost any play are Blood Mage Thalnos with an upside of card draw, Azure Explorer with Dragon Synergy and Generation, Squall Hunter for Burst, Dragon and Overload synergies, and Malagos for significant extra spell damage. By itself, I really don't think any decks are likely to run this card for just +1 spell damage, and the Warrior Patron of the other Aug Merchants wouldn't be excited to see this either. In the current meta, the only deck that might be willing to run this would be Aggro Overload Shaman, for a bit of extra burst damage with Lava Burst and Lightning, but this isn't better than any of the other cards in the deck, so this would not be meta now. There are hardly any new spells entering the game that would benefit much from +1 spell damage, and certainly none of them would allow this to take up a slot in their deck. Ethereal Aug Merchant won't get to join the future meta either. Together with the Impcaster from Rust Sworn Initiate we'll cover later, perhaps we could build a spell damage combines to destroy our opponent, Mage or Shaman meme deck. It's not very exciting, and this hardly even contributes to that. So sadly, Ethereal Aug Merchant fails to join memes either. So when would Demon Hunters care about spell damage? How about when casting this next spell? Immolation Aura is a 2-mana spell to deal 1 damage to all minions, twice. This is great for cleaning up reborn minions that couldn't quite be finished off otherwise. It's also an amazing Feast of Souls activator on a small wide board in a pinch. Priests run Breath of the Infinite even without dragons quite frequently, but it hurts Demon Hunters' small wide boards more, so unless you want Feast of Souls value, this card is looking pretty dicey. It doesn't get value with Wrathscale Naga as he dies in the attack, and this shouldn't count as an attack, so it doesn't synergize with Wrathspike Brute either. Other than a cheap, small board clear, I'm not seeing much value from this card. It probably won't be good enough to make it into the upcoming meta. Perhaps we can build an Enraged Taunts group of cards into our Massive Demons Demon Hunter? This would trigger them twice and possibly buy us some time. If Mecha'thun were still in Standard, we could probably pull some crazy combo with Malagos and this to finish out the game, with the amazing card draw and discount Demon Hunters have. Sadly, exciting experiments to use this don't seem to be coming together in Standard. Perhaps in a future set, but for now, Immolation Aura is not meme deck worthy. So what would be a play our opponent can't ignore after clearing the board? This next card might demand their attention. Fell Summoner is a 6-mana 8/3 with a Death Rattle to summon a random demon from your hand. At just 3 health, it's pretty easy to kill, but you would only run this in a deck with a number of decent quality demons, so they have the conundrum of whether to leave up an 8-attack minion or take the risk that this will summon something equally scary from your hand. This looks pretty good for a big demon build of Demon Hunter. With cards like this and Raging Fell Screamer, as well as the opportunity to cheat out even more demons from your deck with Pit Commander, and a few of the other big demons, including one we'll cover in a moment, I think Big Demon Demon Hunter can actually develop into a meta deck. This will be a high-pressure 6-mana play to turn the corner in that deck. So yes, this should be meta later. Other than duplicating this with Faceless Manipulator to summon an extra demon, there's really not much in the way of crazy or experimental things we can do with this card at the moment. We could give a rush with Rocket Aug Merchant to immediately draw out a big demon, but that doesn't really get there either. Fell Summoner doesn't get to summon memes. What if a Demon Hunter has run out of demons for Fell Summoner to summon? That's where Netherwalker comes in. Netherwalker is a 2-mana 2/2 with a battlecry to discover a demon. A surprising number of demons are 3 mana or less, so there's a good chance that if you play this on 2, you'll be able to choose a demon you could play the following turn. You'll also have a good chance to find a decent sized minion later in the game, so Netherstalker doesn't feel bad to play at any stage. She doesn't really fit into a really aggressive deck, but she'll be great for decks focusing on demon synergies. As a 2-mana 2/2 with significant value generation potential, I believe a meta deck or two will include her. If Bran Bronzebeard were in Standard, or we could steal the Shaman double Battlecry quest, this might be more interesting for a meme deck. We could bounce Netherwalker with Brewmasters for additional value, but that doesn't make her meme deck worthy. Sadly, she's just not quite exciting enough to inspire or enable a meme deck. What would be one of the more powerful demons to discover with Netherwalker? Priestess of Fury is a 7 mana 6/7 demon with an end of turn effect to deal 6 damage randomly split among all enemies. She's 1 mana more than Boulderfist Ogre with the same stats, but she has an amazingly powerful end of turn effect. The enemy board is empty, deal 6 damage to their face. An enemy minion has stealth, she may be able to clean that up for you. Keep her alive for an extra turn, even more value. She's just good. With stats and an effect like this, she'll definitely make the cut for a meta big demon deck. While copying other cards with Faceless Manipulator didn't quite feel powerful enough to qualify for memes, the opportunity to discount this, summon 2 at once, then copy and generate more with Sathravar and Soul Split, so that we're just pelting our opponent's board with 6 or more damage at the end of each turn after turn, makes for an interesting build-around experiment. Priestess of Fury gets meme deck worthy status. What minion could help protect Priestess of Fury so she can get even more damage in? Coilfang Warlord is an 8 mana 9/5 with Rush and a Death Rattle to summon a 5/9 Warlord with Taunt. This Conchguard Warlord looks intimidating enough on its own, but all of this value bundled into 8 mana? It's almost as if Blizzard wants to encourage an archetype other than just aggro for demon hunters. These stats and the value of this card is amazing. It doesn't really fit neatly into the main archetypes we've been considering for Demon Hunter at the moment, but this also makes me want to make a Highlander Demon Hunter so that we can get excellent value out of this guy while transitioning into the endgame. I really do think Highlander Demon Hunter has potential as a meta deck, and this would be one of the 8 drops I would want in that deck. Perhaps questionable, but I'm going to say this will be joining the meta. This card is huge value, but without any tribal tags or reliable ways to discount him for duplication before he rushes in, I'm not seeing any broken things we can do with this. Of course, we could get lucky and discount him or Faceless Manipulator with Skull of Gul'dan, allowing us to make an extra copy of him, but even then, he doesn't close out the game or do anything absurd. We need a Naga tribal synergy tag or something like that introduced into the game so that we can do something fun with these guys as well. Sadly, Coilfang Warlord doesn't get to join meme decks. We've been looking at all these big, powerful minions. Is there a way to help them in the game if they survive on board, even with a bunch of taunts in the way? Why yes, there is. Kayn Sunfury is a 4 mana 3/5 with charge, not rush, and the effect to enable all friendly attacks to ignore taunt. Take a moment to read that and let it sink in. Not only is this the first card with charge to be released in years, but this effect is absolutely broken. Your opponent has a wall of taunt minions? Well, if you play Kayn, all your minions and your hero can just smack the opponent in the face. No one is safe behind taunts against a demon hunter unless this guy has been played and killed. Charge and ignore taunts. I think Blizzard broke their game. So, meta? Yep. Memes? I'm actually not sure what we can do with this that's more broken than the base effects of this card. Perhaps we build our own taunt wall and then kill the opponent with our taunts, ignoring their taunts, to really push home the message of how absurd this card is. There's probably something huge and stupid we can do with this as a meme deck. For example, we run Reckless Rocketeers, Argent Crusaders, and a few other charge minions, trying to get as many of them discounted by Skull of Gul'dan as possible for a huge one-turn burst through anything that's on the board. I don't see a way to set up an OTK yet, but meme experiments will be run for sure. Now, let's slow down and return to looking at reasonable cards. Our next card is Crimson Sigil Runner. He's a 1-mana 2/1, and if he's the leftmost or rightmost card in your hand when played, you get to draw a card with him. Not bad for a 1-drop. Unless the mulligan works out just right, it may prove difficult to get the outcast value from him on turn 1. But even as a mana curve filler later to help cycle through the deck, this runner is just decently good. Depending on the amount of card draw needed, I think some aggro decks will run this guy. There are so many card draw options for Demon Hunter, but aggro decks often have difficulty keeping the cards flowing as they dump their hand onto the board. This serves as an aggressively statted way to continue the flow. He probably will be able to join the meta. And with as much card draw as Demon Hunters have, perhaps we'll make a Chef Nomi deck. There still doesn't seem to be a good way to close the game if they clear Chef Nomi, so perhaps we'll run Nethrandimus and Dragon Queen Alexstrasza as additional win conditions if they do kill our beloved Chef. With this guy's help, we could draw twice, once with his Outcast and once with Feast of Souls. We'll go ahead and say he is meme deck worthy. Our last card for today, and the last Demon Hunter card, is Ashtongue Battlelord. He's a 4-mana 3/5 with Taunt and Lifesteal. Simple, straightforward, and strong. If this didn't have the Lifesteal tag, I'd say it's too weak for Demon Hunter. But as a protector for your board and a way to rejuvenate your face from smacking things too much, this is looking really solid. Aggro decks might want this Battlelord as a shield for minions to stick on board and as a recovery tool, but big Demon and Highlander Demon Hunters will probably also be happy to include this guy as a quality way to stall until the late game. He'll be joining several meta decks. What about memes? If we want to protect our massive demons like Priestess of Fury for an extra turn so we can drop Sathravar and other duplication cards on them, we will need guys like this on the front lines. That may not be enough to qualify this as a meme card, but remember what we said about ironically smacking our opponents in the face with taunts with Kane's Sunfury? Well, this guy can heal us up as he smacks them in the face as a taunt. I almost feel bad making a meme deck like that, but hey, it'll probably be impossible to get more than one taunt to stick anyways, so we'll try it anyways and hope that not too many opponents quit the game from it. Man, it'll feel bad when we die to Kane. Anyways, onward to the quick reviews. Illidan won't get to show his inner demon in the meta, but this attack will leave opponents of meme decks wide-eyed when it gets played. Sightless Watcher will be surprisingly vigilant during the upcoming meta, but loses sight of meme deck potential. Altruist the Outcast gets to join meta decks and is a must-include for pulsating waves of death meme decks. Soul Split will keep imprisoned Antians pressure going in the meta and enable some supremely overstated memes. Nethrandimus will sit triumphantly atop a Highlander Demon Hunter meta deck, and he'll summon some big boys for us after our Furious Felfin leads Murlocs and Dragons to their deaths in our meme decks. Rocket Og Merchant would launch Cruel Taskmaster out of Galakrond Warrior for the current meta, will rush minions through the new meta, and will hire mercenaries to help spread infectious Sporling memes. Guardian Og Merchant could certainly perform some interesting augmentations in the current meta, but they'd be insufficient. However, there may be just enough potential for him to profit in the new meta, and he's great at guarding memes with Blood Knight. Ethereal Og Merchant is not proficient at selling his services in the current or future metas, and he fades into the ether before joining meme decks. Immolation Aura dissipates before being of any use in the new meta, and Mechathune Malagos memes wave farewell from Wild, wishing this better luck in the future. Fell Summoner will get to summon big demons in the meta, but her ideas for meme decks fell flat. Netherwalker walks confidently into the new meta, but she hides in the nether so that no meme decks can find her. Priestess of Fury will unleash her fury in the meta, and she'll find ways to split her soul so that we can discharge loads of extra damage in meme decks. Coilfang Warlord will battle for a path to Highlander Demon Hunter meta decks, but he's too concerned with his Warlord status to join meme decks. Kayn Sunfury charges into the meta and drags an ironic taunt wall with him in memes. Crimson Sigil Runner will deliver the next card in meta decks, and he heralds Chef Nomi for meme decks. Ash Tongue Battlelord will make opponents' mouths taste like ash as they fail to kill aggro boards hiding behind this lifesteal taunt in the upcoming meta, and the taste will be even more bitter when he joins Kayn Sunfury for memes. And that's a wrap. With all of the cards from the set revealed to the world, we have lots more to look at. And I promise, we'll be covering them soon. If you enjoyed, be sure to tap that like button, smash that subscribe button, and share your perspective in the comments below. You're awesome. Thank you for watching, and have an awesome day.